Alright, been a while since we've got a weekly open. This is Turdz vs. Vid. This is the semifinals of Weekly Open 58. There is no same. Okay, noted. Turdz' first turn, so let's look at Vid's hand. Vid has at least 1/7 in each direction. So Turdz has no inherent kind of safety. Does Turdz have anything specific he has to worry about? Well, Turdz has sevens in 3 directions, but not the fourth. It's useful that 4557 covers 4772 and 1. Okay, I don't think there's anything he specifically has to be like, I must cover this turn. One thing I notice is a lot of Vid's cards that are high side to side. So if Turdz played something like 4557 in 7, I notice that Vid's only captures from 8 have 7s or 6s protruding to the opposite side, and that Turdz with 6726 can combo 6s, and with 6376 can combo 7s. Another way to do this might be 5663 and 7. That actually seems a better way. It limits Vid's options, and Turdz has a better time recapturing. I also notice Vid's hand is kind of weak going down. It has the 1/7 but nothing else. So it's also easy to envision if you started 5663 and 7, if Vid takes 4772 and 4 at some point, maybe you can just play 5754 and 1 and make a wall, which seems effective here. Or you could do something else and just say you're running out of down power, right? I'm not saying Vid's going to take immediately from 4, but maybe Vid will capture from 4 at some moment when Turdz doesn't have a good move in 1. But Turdz then could say, okay, I'll take squares in 8 or 9, and just have values facing up that are tough for you. I like the look of 5663 and 7. There is the question, is there some huge setup in 5? But I think fundamentally, you're creating a square that's tough for Vid in 8. And one of the natural things, and because you have a reply in 9. And so one of the natural things for Vid to do is play in 9, setting up 8, both blocking the response to 8 in 9, because 9 is now gotten rid of, and setting up something in a square you're not too comfortable in, 8. However, here, that's going to be a pretty bad move, or unlikely to be good, because Vid does not want the game to be downward. So I think we should be more worried about a big setup in 5, which there may be. I could imagine, 7, 6, 4, 5, and 5 sets up 4, 7, 3, 6. But then I think Turdz has real likely chance to have a nice move in 4, because Vid's only capture in 1 is 4, 7, 7, 2, and that gets comboed back. All right. Turdz goes 5, 6, 6, 3, and 9. Does this have similar ideas? It sort of does, right? Because 2 of the captures have a 7 facing out towards 7 that Turdz has combo potential against. He can combo 7s. Now he can't combo 6s, and he can combo 5s. He can't combo 2s, but you can see sort of similar. I like my version a little more, but we're always attracted to the moves that attract us, right? That's a tautology, but just because my inclination was elsewhere doesn't mean it's substantially different. And 5663 felt like the right card to get rid of. Alright, so thinking from Vid's perspective. One thing Turdz has going for him potentially, well, Turdz's only recapture in 6 is 6376. Can we play against that? Could we attack that? Say we played 4736 in 8. My point is this is a card Turdz cannot combo from 7. And now if Turdz plays 6376 and 6, we have a same in 5, and we have to feel great there. Right? I think we're probably just winning. So with 4736 and 8, what does Turdz intend? Maybe just to make the game difficult to go down. Maybe something like 6726 in 7. But then I think Vid has many options. and shouldn't feel too bad. It's actually maybe something like 6726 in 6, setting up a same in 5, keeping 4772 so you have downward threats. Yeah, this looks pleasant for Vid. I think Vid can attack this immediately. Now, is this the kind of move Vid makes? I don't understand the kinds of moves Vid makes, so probably not. But I think 4736 in 8, unless there's a big setup in 5, which there could be. Sorry, a big setup in 4, setting up 5. Um, it looks like it would have to be 4557 in 4. I'm really skeptical that this wouldn't be still at least slightly better for Vid. Like, you stick something in 7 for free. How bad can it be? Alright, Vid plays an adjacent corner. And this is the right adjacent corner to play, right? If you're going to play an adjacent corner here, and you're picking between 3 and 7, um, usually the adjacent corner is more helpful against the side that is harder for you to take. It is much harder for Vid to take in 6, so this sets up the correct side. But also, you're directing the game. You're making the game rightward if you go in 3, or downward if you go in 7, and this is the better way to go. Of those, obviously, because Vid wants to be going rightward and does not want to be going downward. All his cards are happy to go right, one of his cards is happy to go down. So 3 makes infinitely more sense than 7 as an adjacent corner. Now, he may have gotten there a very different route because he is also creating a challenge to Turdz. He is saying, you cannot take this from 2. And no, you might get a kind of similar lines. I think they're sort of squares that say similar things. And I'm not quite sure how to explain this, but I think like 5663 in 9 created some difficulty for Vid in 6. And so there's kind of, you have 8, but you don't have 6. So you can either set up 6 or you can play 8. I think 3 and 8 are very connected squares, right? I was drawn to 8, Vid was clearly drawn to 3, but these are actually quite similar reactions, even if they're in kind of entirely distinct parts of the board. Now, I do think this goes to say, because this looks like a pleasant reaction as well, that Turdz starting in 7 would have been a better choice, but maybe I'm missing something. Maybe the 5 setup was a problem. I don't think it was, though. Anyway, I think Vid should be ahead now. Or should he? So the default move for Turdz is to go 4-5-5-7 and 6. Now, this does give up coverage of 4-7-7-2, but that coverage at this point probably never necessary. And sames are pleasant. And there is the question of, can Vid go in 8 or in 4 such that he threatens 5? And unless I'm missing something super obvious, I guess he can. Okay. So Vid has 7-6-4-5 in 8. That's the critical reply. That's really risky, though. Like, Turdz might be able to play. I'm not sure this works. I haven't calculated anything. But I think there's a very good chance if Turdz plays in 6 and 7-6-4-5 and 8 is played, that Turdz has 6-3-7-6 and 4, when 6-7-2-6 has combos in both 5 and 7. And with those 6s facing up, Vid never has combos back. That seems very promising to me, though maybe Vid can go in 1, because 5-7-5-4 is kind of dead. You have to play 5-7-5-4 and 2, but Vid can't really ever go in 5 there. Maybe it's just a tie. Hard to calculate all from here, but I think 4 is promising against 8. But maybe Vid has won. Yeah, if I was playing, I'd want to calculate that more deeply because those positions can be really messy. So let's take a look. I know I'm just calculating one line, and many things may happen. And Turds has picked up a different card, so I guess we'll not calculate that more in depth. But I think that was an interesting line: is 45576, 76458, 63764. Say six. If 6627 in one, so maybe 4736 in one, 5754 in two, 4772 in six. Four never flips. I think that's 5-5 actually. I think it's 5-5. I think it's a tie, but tricky line. All right. Turds goes in with a different card. Now, this card 4772 is more play against, right? Vid does not need to set up when he goes in 2 or 8. But he still can, right? Like, there is 4736 in either 2 or 8 makes real threats. 4772 and 8 is possible, but you really want to be careful on that because 4772 is such unique power in your hand that you have to be like pretty sure it's the card you want to play. Don't want to go 6627 and 8. That's dead. 4772 and 8. My guess is it's fine. 7645 and 8 is no longer covered by combo potential, but you don't have a double capture in 5, so it's probably pretty clumsy. 4736 and 8 doesn't give up the recapture in 2 and does set up 5. It's possible that's the way. There's also, you could go in 2, 4736 and 2. You have a nice card for 5. You have to make sure if they go 1 that they don't cover your card in 5, but it seems pretty unlikely they would. So 2 seems appealing with 4736. There's also 4772, which again I'm a little more skeptical of, but also looks like it could be very promising. And of course, there's going in 5. There's a wealth of options on offer here. Oh, I've been assuming same is on. Scratch everything I've said. My 4736 and 8 idea was not good. Turds going 4557 and 6 did not flip 3. Everything I've said so far has been wrong. I'm trying to think back to everything I said that relied on a same, and it was, I think, an awful lot did. So scratch everything. I'm gonna not spend a lot of time trying to figure out which lines I got wrong in the past because too many to say. Apologies for that. How many minutes into the video are we? 13 minutes before I realized everything I'd said was wrong. So that said, setups like going with a 4 up and 8 no longer make much sense, right? So going in 8 is much less appealing. Probably want to go in 2 or 5. I think my guess is 4736 and 2 now. I think that feels the most logical under the actual rules in effect. You have a nice double threat in 5 in case they go 1. You have safety in 1 if they happen to go 5, but you also keep open your threat in 8. My bet is the best reply to 2 is 8, actually. But I'm not sure. Turds' cards are pretty clumsy there. Yeah, I think 4736 and 2 is probably what we'll see. Yeah, it just seems like it leaves Vid's cards pretty good. Okay, he goes 8. Well, this does make much of Turd's hand look really dead. Yeah. Yeah, this may well be even more promising. Hmm. One crazy idea that comes to mind is 6376 and 4. Um, my main line is because it creates a combo threat in 7. If vid blocks 7, let's not say it matters. For now, let's say it doesn't matter which card he blocks 7 with. Nothing in 7 flips 4, so the score will stay 5-5. My idea is to play 5-7-5-4 and 5 and keep 4-5-5-7 as sweeper. 6-6-2-7 doesn't capture anything, so you can't lose because it's currently 5-5. We've set up with the move in 4. We set up a plus against 4-7-3-6 and 2 with 4-5-5-7 at the end, so we cover that. And 4-7-7-2 is covered. 4-7-7-2 is a double capture. It is not covered. All right, that was a bad idea. Okay, scratch that one. Yeah, just bad idea. All right. What else is there? You can take safety in 7, but you really that's uncomfortable to give up 8. I think Vid has played this well. I liked the look of 2. I was sort of put off 8 just because it didn't set up 5, but that was being too heuristic based and not specific enough. Where is the save? Is there a save? Okay, maybe 6-3-7-6 and 2. My idea is I need to find a use for 6-3-7-6 and 4-5-5-7, and 2 is almost safe. It sets up a threat in 5, which I am hoping our opponent has to react to, but kind of doesn't actually. That's a problem. Yeah, this might not work at all. But if 6-3-7-6 and 5 and 2, um, if Vid goes 5, he probably flips 6. He goes up 6-4, and my idea is to play 4-5-5-7 and 1, and 5-7-5-4 does sufficiently sweep that endgame. It really doesn't though, because 5-7-5-4 and 1. My point was only 6-7-2-6 can take it, but if Vid has played 4-7-7-2 and 5, that's not true. That looks really clumsy. I don't know what Turdz should play here. I have not found a tie. Turdz has picked up 6-3-7-6, which may well be going in 4. You may have seen that idea, or maybe going in 2. All the moves I saw with it. I guess every move I saw, I'm going to sneeze, so I'm going to pause for a sec. I have also used that opportunity to recenter the video, at least a bit. Still not centered, but he goes in 2. Yeah, so that was the idea I was on. But I thought, for one, there is 4-7-7-2 in 5. And that makes it 6-4 vid. And if Turdz goes either card in 1. No, but then 5-7-5-4 covers it. Yeah, so that doesn't work. What was I saying? I don't know what I was saying. Yeah, so maybe the idea. Okay, so anything in 5, 4-5-5-7, and 1 does tie. I think that's true. Okay. So then my other point though was I wasn't sure that Turdz couldn't go in 1. Because if Turdz plays 4-7-7-2 and 1, and you take the combo in 5 with 5-7-5-4, then Vid combos back 4-7-3-6 and 4, but that actually doesn't flip very many cards. Right? Because Turdz comboed 8 and 9, and that doesn't actually flip those back. It does flip 3 and 2, though. Ooh. Okay, so let's count. 4772 and 1, 5754 and 5. Everything except 1 is Turdz's. And then 4736 and 4 flips 5, 6, 3, 2. Yeah, that's going to be a vid win. So the other option against 4772 and 1 that seems plausible is something like 4557 and 7. When vid is up 6-4. What's the card he just picked up? I'm forgetting. It's 4736. Yeah. And then 4736 goes in 5 and vid wins. I'm probably missing stuff, but 4772 and 1 looks appealing. 6-4. If you combo in 5, I combo back and win. If you don't combo in 5, I block 7, and 5754 is no captures. I block 7 with a 6 up. So I win. Oh, 4557 is a plus in 5. What am I doing? Well, that's a tie. Okay, that didn't work. Geez, I am not entirely here. All right, so what else is there? Vid picked up 4736. Maybe he was going for 7 with the idea that if Turdz goes 5, again, he has a combo in 4. So 4736 and 7, that's an interesting idea. But same isn't on, so it doesn't actually set up much in 5, so I think Turdz can just go 4 there. Tie. No, maybe this held. I feel I should be calculating faster and sharper, but thoroughly discombobulated by no same on. And, I don't see a win. Took me a while to realize 4557 could land in 5. Took me a while to see a lot of things. But I don't see a win. I'm gonna pop open the solver because if my analysis is useless, at least the solver is here. Solver rules. No same rules. Interesting game. I wonder if 2 was better than 8. I wonder a lot of things. But I think much of my analysis was probably really shaky, especially the early stuff. He does go 5. So Turdz played 5-6-6-3, 6-7-2-6, 6-3-7-6, 5-7-5-4, and 4-5-5-7. Vid played 3-7-4-7, 7-6-4-5, 4-7-3-6, and has 4-7-7-2 and 6-6-2-7 in hand. Yeah, so we do see the natural follow-up here. So I'm going to start putting the game in. Turdz, 5-5 vid, 5-6-6-3-9, 3-7-4-7-3, 6-7-2-6-6, 7-6-4-5-8, 6-3-7-6-2, 4-7-3-6-5, 4-5-5-7-1, 6-6-2-7-4, 5-7-5-4-7, and 4-7-7-2 remain. Very interesting game. So Turdz started 5-6-6-3 and 9. And Vid played 3-7-4-7. I'm gonna skip to turn 5. There are 4 moves that tie here. For Vid, for Turdz. 6-3-7-6 and 2 check is indeed a tie. Nicely done. Other ties were 6-6-2-7 and 1. That's not a move I play. 6-6-2-7 and 2. Sorry. 4-5-5-7 and 1. Very strange. 4-5-5-7 and 2. Similar to 6-3-7-6, but I think 6-3-7-6 was the more logical version. And 4-5-5-7 and 5, which I didn't check. I didn't really actually check if 5 was a possibility. And definitely should have, because that's a normal place to go. So Vid indeed did not have a win on turn 6. Did Vid have a win on turn 4? No. So my preference was for 4-7-3-6 and 2, but Turdz had one tie there. He had 4 ties as was played, so there is a case 2 was better, but maybe the movement was obvious there. I think that maybe was a little more promising, but not substantially. Was there anything in 5 that was threatening? No, there were many ties against 5. Yeah. So I think probably 4-7-3-6-2 was the best try, but 7-6-4-5-8 was probably the second best try here on move 4. We should go see if they're playing again. They are. So I'm going to keep messing around with the solver a bit, because that was quite interesting. Hopefully you can keep in mind the prior game. And then the other thing was there a better move in 6 for Turdz? I'm not sure. It seems hard to check quickly because the solver takes forever. And I also wanted to compare for earlier moves. And I wanted to compare if 5-6-6-3-7 was more promising than 5-6-6-3-9. So I'm going to have the solver run a quick check there, and we'll start focusing on the game. It'll take a while to run that. All right, Turdz' first turn again in this game number 2. So per usual, I think the thing to do is check Vid's hand. Vid has 7s in 3 directions, but not up. And up, he does have those 2s facing up. Vid also looks relatively weak going left. Up left is clearly where we can create the most potential discomfort. But he does have a lot of plus wall potential against like 7s or 6s to the right if Turdz was to start in 1. Yeah, actually, that 2-6-7-6 is gonna, and 2-7-5-5 kind of sweep Turdz up there. That's tricky. Therefore, do you have to try to get rid of those squares? But how to do so? Turdz has so many 6s left and right up there that are just gonna play so badly. Oh man. There's not a good way to get rid of that, I don't think. So maybe you just try to play on the other side of the board and just say, at least I'm not getting comboed everywhere here. But just look at that top row. Like, Gafgarian is just dead to 2-6-7-6. 7-2-6-6 is your only counterplay against 6s, but it's also really easily covered. 5-6-6-5, the 6 is covered, but the 5 the other way is often comboed by 2-7-5-5. So it's not just that these cards can't be safe corners, it's that they can't be capturers because they're so easily comboed. And you have no combo back against the 2-7-5-5. The 5-7-6-4 might be like your critical card. The 7 is covered, but at least the 4 is safe. And the 7-6-4-5, that's another 5 to the left that's covered, and that's another 6 to the right that's covered. So what do you do when you're never going to be able to play in the top row happily? Turdz' conclusion is you try to get rid of it. You try to get rid of these top row squares. This also creates a difficulty for Vid in 6. I'm going to guess Vid's going to go in 9. Oh, one thing to note, no same, right? Got to remember that. So 6, 7, 5, 3, and 9 does set up 6 because that's a plus as well as a same. But something like 5, 5, 7, 4, and 9 does not set up 6 because 6, 7, 5, 3 is the same. All right, so I'm kind of expecting 6, 7, 5, 3, and 9. That seems similar to what we saw last game, and it keeps vid sweepers. Like if Turds block 6, vid can maybe play 5, 7, 5, 4, and 8, and 2, 6, 7, 6 will have a double capture threat against anything in 6, and you've kept 2, 6, 7, 6 and 2, 7, 5, 5, which seem like useful sweepers to keep. And that's if vid plays in 6 capturing 9. If he plays in 6 not capturing 9, you can maybe play 6, 3, 6, 7, and 8. Maybe not. Depends. My prediction is 6, 7, 5, 3, and 9. It has been picked up. And that vid will attack this a similar way to last game, at least from a structural level. I am incorrect. I did not check for safety. Is this safe? This is safe. Didn't check for this. Really on the ball. Okay. Are there any setups? Yeah. So 5, 7, 6, 4, and 5 is a setup. It's not a great setup. 7, 2, 6, 6, and 8 is pretty clumsy. But I think not so bad. I think shouldn't be that bad. A little bit clumsy. Also 7, 6, 4, 5 is plus wallable. So there is definitely clumsiness to going 5, but you do have the option to go 5. Yeah. Oh, it's nice to have an option. What else might you do? Can you build out from your starter in 3 by going 2? Yeah, you can. Maybe that's the best option. Yeah, 7, 2, 6, 6, and 2, for instance. Um, Vid doesn't have 6. He doesn't have 5. Um, he does have 2, 7, 5, 5, and 4, setting up the plus in 5. But I think you're okay there because Vid runs out of I'm not sure. Probably not okay. Okay, 7, 2, 6, 6, and 2. And if so, my point was, Vid doesn't have 6, and he doesn't really have good play in 1, because anything with a 7 down, you have a plus, and the 6 down gives you a plus, so you suddenly have ways to cover 7. And so he kind of needs to play 2, 7, 5, 5, and 1 if he wants to do anything there. And then I was figuring 7, 6, 4, 5, and 4 was pleasant, because Vid doesn't have 6, 3, 6, 7, and 5, because that gives you 8. So those were the two main lines I saw. But I think 7, 2, 6, 6, and 2, maybe 2, 7, 5, 5, and 4 is a problem. But then 5, 7, 6, 4 is great in both 1 and 5, so maybe you can just leave it open. You could start in like 6 or something, and you should be in pretty decent shape. Yeah, I don't think that's too scary. So I think 7, 2, 6, 6, and 2 is appealing. There was the option in 5. I like 2 more. I tend to be drawn to building out rather than setting up. Um, Sorry, not 7, 2, 6, 6, and 5. What was the move in 5? It was 5, 7, 6, 4. Yeah. Which also sets up something in 6. But I think gives too many options. I think I'd go 2 here. 2 is my guess. But let's go check if it's done. So against Turd's starter, Vid had last game. Vid had 23 ties and 17 losses, which is pretty normal, maybe slightly above average starter pressure in general. Though I think, as we saw from the game, Vid immediately had advantage. And it's almost done calculating the move I wanted to play. Okay, Vid goes 6, not 2. Sorry, Turds goes 6, not 2. I wonder what he saw. I hate leaving the top so open. I guess he saw he is 9 covered. And if 2, 6, 7, 6, and 2, he has the plus and 5. And so 2, 7, 5, 5, and 2, he also has the plus and 5. Okay, so we saw he had combo potential. And he does. Cool. Alright, then this should be reasonable. My instinct for vid is 8. My instinct in these structures is always 2, 8, or 9. And 2 appears covered. And 9 appears covered. Yeah, I think 9's covered. So 8. Can you go 8 with a nice setup? Probably. Something like 5, 5, 7, 4, and 8 seems pleasant. It's actually a little clumsy for Turdz to block 9. He has to do so with 7, 6, 4, 5. And then 2, 6, 7, 6, and 5 puts vid up 7 to 3. And Turdz doesn't have anything for 4 still. So he probably has to play 2. That makes it 5, 5. But then... And he has to use Galagros. He has to keep 5, 7, 6, 4. Maybe that's a tie? No, because 2, 7, 5, 5, and 1, there's no same. Alright, I think this looks promising for Vid. And he goes for it. Nice move. Vid playing well this match. I like how Vid is handling this. Now, I think this was like a difficult starter for Turdz, but I think this is a promising position for Vid, and I like how he's played both games. May as well start sticking this one in the solver. I am a little lazy, and I feel like I'm missing everything. Alright, so my move in the last game, I started 5, 6, 3, 6, 3, and 7. 10 moves tied and 30 moves lost, suggesting it's a very strong starter. Now, sometimes it's wrong, because sometimes the ties are like the only moves you'd make are within the 10 ties. But usually this suggests that that was a much higher pressure move. So, okay, I can still play starters. Possibly. So this game, Turdz had first turn, and he had 5, 6, 6, 5. Very difficult position to start for Turdz. I think he's faced a bunch of difficult games recently, also in the match against Delhi, and has just been really phenomenal at navigating these positions. So, like, he gets a spot with a difficult random, or a difficult hand matchup, or the first turn goes a little poorly, and he has just been so good at making sure the positions don't seem dangerous by the end. Like, I was really worried for him last turn on move 5, and I thought he did a really nice job. I put my cards wrong, but actually it doesn't matter. I thought he did a really nice job escaping there. So we're going to see if he is just going to be able to comfortably show that like 7, 6, 4, 5, and 9 is just a tie. Nothing to worry about. He's picked up 7, 6, 4, 5. All he has to make sure, I think, is that 2, 6, 7, 6, and 5 doesn't beat him. But my suspicion was it does beat him. Because it goes up 7, 3, and if Galagros and 2, it's 5, 5, there follows 2, 7, 5, 5, and 1, and 5, 7, 6, 4 actually blanks on the final turn. So the one line I calculated seemed scary there. Okay. Solver says almost every move this game on move 3 tied, which is not how it felt to me. My inclination was 7, 2, 6, 6, and 2. Run. There you go. Which it says is a tie. Turdz played 7, 2, 6, 6, and 6, which also a tie. And it thinks was more promising. Alright, it prefers Turdz's move. I liked Vid's move in 8. Turdz has 2 ties here. Will he find a tie? One of his ties is in 1. Yeah, 5-7-6-4 in 1 is not a tie I'm expecting anyone to find. All right, it says 7-6-4-5 and 9 loses. The 2-6-7-6 and 5. All right, I got that right. Oh, so this is really dangerous then. The other tie is in 5. 5 is hard to find though because it's not like Vid is unhappy playing in 9. Turdz finds a move in 5. Was this the move in 5 that tied? Yeah, nicely done, Turdz. Setting up that threat in 4 means basically what he's done is the problem with 7 is it's met by 5 and Turdz never has 4. So Turdz goes 5, setting up 4, and when 4 is blocked, he now is happy to play in 7. This is very nice. Not a usual square to be played in. But now Vid has to be very careful, because I think if Vid blocks 4, Turdz probably, I'm going to not look at the solver for a sec, we'll try to figure this out. If Vid blocks 4 with something and Turdz gets to go in 9, I guess Vid has 2, but it depends what Vid blocks 4 with. So if Vid plays like 6-3, 6-7, and 4, then he doesn't have 2. Because either card covers him. And if he plays 2-7-5-5 and 4, he doesn't have 2 because he's just used the card 4-2. So the only card to really consider is 2-6-7-6 and 4. So 2-6-7-6-4. That makes it 6-4 Vid. But Turdz can just go 9 there. 2-7-5-5 doesn't combo back anything of importance. Yeah, that just wins. So I think you can't go 4. And if you go 6-3, 6-7, and 9, you flip 2 things. You go up 7-3. Turdz goes something in 4. He's gonna flip 2 things back. I guess that just makes it 5-5. And Vid can play 2. All right, so 9 should tie. I think 6-3, 6-7, and 9 ties. Am I correct? Let's find out. Yeah, that is a tie. Okay. Solver says there's another tie, and it is the deranged. Are you serious? 2-7-5-5 and 1. What a weird move. Just setting up nothing. Whenever there's a move in 1, you expect it to have a setup, but that does not set up 2. That's such a strange move. If you in this position were like, yes, of course, 2-7-5-5-1, please explain to me what thought process got you there. That is such a strange concept. Oh, that's so weird. It's just like safe, right? And I guess safety sometimes does it, but wow. What a weird move. All right, so the human tie here is 6-3, 6-7, and 9. So that's what I expect to see out of Vid here. Interesting game. Great move from Turdz in 5. I think that's been something really true of Turdz' play recently, is he has just been, and I think this is sometimes a weakness of Turdz' play, is while he is in general really precise turns 5 and 6, he is not quite as precise as what I think of as kind of the traditional top 4 or traditional meaning in the return of myself, Delial, Seto, and Akiyama. And you could debate whether, you could debate that 4, but I tend to think of Turdz as the 5th best player. But I think he's been just really, really precise recently on these mid-game moves and just navigating it, not just well enough to get a tie, but well enough like it's possible Vid blows it now, right? He has managed to find not just a way to survive, but a way to survive and make it complex. And like, okay, Vid has picked up 2-7. Oh my. Vid's a weirdo. What a weirdo. I mean, this ties. Congrats. This is a great move, but what a deranged way to live. Uh, the times they are weird. Because like this feels to me like it should lose to like 5764 in two. Feels like it should just lose to that. It doesn't, but it feels to me like it should. Yeah, so like I said earlier this video, I don't really understand Vid moves. He does not think or find moves the way I do, which is cool. Like I'm all for having variance in play style, and Vid is always obviously a tremendously successful player, and this is a very good move. But it is to say this would never be the tie I would find in this position. So it's really cool to see him play it here. This has been a cool match through two games. Um, really snazzy tie here from both players, both move in five and the move in one. Um, and I think a really high level of play. But yeah, it's to say I think Turdz has been just I assuming 5 6 7 6 4 and 2 is coming. Um, Turdz has just been this really hyper accurate player combined with his always very good early game play um, and strong hand building has made him just a real pleasure to watch in this Triad Wars and Triad Wars adjacent games run. I think this. I think if he wins this, it's. I mean, it's probably not like the best. If he wins this, the best tournament win of his career. I think that stays Vincent, but it's very easily number two. And for just quality of games and quality of play, I think there's a very good chance this is the best run of games Turdz has ever played. And that's saying a lot given how good Turdz is. Oh, it's nice to see Freya on. Um, yeah, haven't seen them around for a bit. Was really hoping we would see them compete in a major. Instead, we got Run of Stuff, but it's been nice to see the return of some older legends. Currently, this finals run of Stuffs, where he may be about to win a really cool championship. All right, I think I'm gonna stop recording. I'll see if they're playing more. I think my voice is giving out, so I'm not sure I'm gonna cover it. Um, but fun games to watch. Very cool ties. 2 7 5 5 and 1 is the deranged way to tie that position.